Hi, I'm Linda Mercury. Welcome to Girls Rule 2.0, brought to you by Multiverse 2020 Horror Track. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we work and live, and recognize their continuing connection to land, water, and community. I pay respects to elders past, present, and emerging. So welcome to this fabulous panel with my amazing panelists. We have Melissa McArthur, Ellie Raine, Dahlia Rose, and Emily Leverett. For more about our panelists, please check the linked videos from them, which is on the multiversecon.org website, where you can find links to all of our guests. And speaking of multiversecon.org, if you're watching this as part of the convention weekend, join us on the Discord channel for this track. Some of the panelists will be there and we'll talk about it, and instructions how to get onto our Discord can be found at multiversecon.org/Discord. And we are collecting for charity at ko-fi.com/multiversecon. All donations, less fees, will go to support the Equal Justice Initiative, which is egi.org. And finally, want some multiverse swag? Check out the store on our website. We have shirts, enamel pins, and much more. And now we're ready to begin. I kind of wanted to start with what not to do, and I would like to kind of know what each of you think about what makes a bad or boring female character. We'll start with Melissa and go on to Ellie, Dahlia, and end up with Emily.
Okay. I think that a bad thing to do, or something that makes a female character boring, is not giving the character enough agency, not giving her reasons to make her own choices or reasons for doing the things that she's doing other than, you know, some guy told me to.
Yeah, I agree with that. For me, it's really, really easy to make any character not an actual person. They're just kind of there to be a cardboard cutout. So, you know, far away, oh yeah, they're a person. You walk up, oh no, okay, that freaked me out. You're just like a mannequin. Because there's no desire for them to want to do anything outside of whatever the main character's doing. So that's always a pain point.
I think for me, it's the two-dimensionality of it, that when we have the female characters, that they are either whiny or there's a superhero. There's never any growth of the evolution to show them going from, you know, innocence to maturity. And sometimes you're really like, you can see the potential of that growth in there, but they never allow the character to explore that. And then the whole thing just comes off, like Ellie said, this two-dimensional thing where no concept outside of go do, and she goes and does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think two things. One, if you have a protagonist making a strong female character perfect, right? That they don't have any flaws, that's not real.
Yeah.
Like they have to have something wrong with them. And this and the second one, and I really wish that I could remember who said it, but memory real estate in my brain is extraordinarily expensive right now. There's very little space, so I just can't keep things. But she should not be a sexy lamp, right? That is, if you can replace her with a sexy lamp and the story does not change, that is bad. So no sexy lamps.
That is brilliant.
I love that.
Yeah. I would
now
comment.
I'm thinking about the brave little toaster.
I think it's a Christmas Story, that the special award sexy leg lamp that he put in the window. I think that's what it's from, but I'm not sure.
That's awesome. My personal bad female character or what not to do comes from Women in Refrigerators, which is please don't kill off your main female character
Oh.
to further the usually male protagonist's arc. I mean, I'm just not really fond of killing off my characters to begin with.
Yeah.
I prefer to have it be a little bit more complicated and, try and twist that a little bit, but for crying out loud, please don't do that. We are
kind of
sick
going
of dying.
along with that too.
Yeah.
Is that the female characters need to have some sort of motivator other than sexual assault?
Oh my gosh.
Yes, please.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
you see them running through, they're in a house, everybody's having fun. Cut back, they're running through the forest in the man's t-shirt and a pair of socks, screaming their head off, falling over nondescript things like, what did you fall over?
Yeah.
And then they're dead. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what just happened?
Yeah.
I know. It's so tedious.
And it's so hard because things like trauma is motivation. Like losing people you love is motivation, right? That makes sense. And so how to walk that line between, well, our character needs something other than a small impolite slight to drive them into action. But does it always have to be a dead woman, right? And for women characters, like, yes, assault is a very real thing, especially if you look at the statistics, but it has become such a catch-all trope that it really needs to either mean a whole lot or just not be done at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the movies that I enjoyed lately was Peppermint with, what's her face? God. And like you, I don't have brain space for remembering names, but she, her motivation, she was a badass heroine. Her motivation was that she lost her child and she lost her husband. She didn't go and whine. She didn't fall into drinking or depression and have to work her way out of it. She went and she trained and she fought and she got revenge. And it was so refreshing to see a female character take on that role as opposed to every other male character. Like women can feel loss and want revenge too.
Oh, absolutely. Thumbs up. Everyone star that comment. Okay.
Yeah.
Make a note. If you're watching this, take a note on that comment, please. I think this ties in together with something I was thinking about before we got started was we have to acknowledge at some point in our characters' goal, motivation, and conflict and their, as you create this female character, is women's needs for safety is a very important point of, I think, writing any woman. Very few girls over the age of 5 get passed out of knowing that we have to be more careful with our safety, no matter where we're at. What kind of things would you, my beautiful panelists, who are so gorgeous and cool, I can't stand it, what kind of things would you like to see in a book or a movie that would acknowledge a woman's need for safety?
It doesn't even have to be big things, but little things like making sure when she leaves a place, she takes her keys out first. Like it doesn't have to be a big zoom in on the keys, but like, I don't know a woman that doesn't have her keys out before she walks to her car. I mean, I'm 30 feet from the door of my building, right? And it does not matter what time and day it is. Like I get to school at 6:30 in the morning and nobody, especially now, nobody else is there but me. I still have my keys in my hand before I walk away from my car. I still scan the parking lot. Like just those simple actions that you don't have to draw attention to, but their presence reminds you that like, this is stuff men don't do.
Yeah, and if you're driving long distances, it's 3 in the morning, you are running out of gas a little bit, and the first gas station you come across has maybe one flickering light going on.
Keep going.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna wait for the next one. Wait for the next one.
Yep.
Yeah. Or the fact that they have them walking out of, they work late, no one else is in the building. They walk out and they take the long route across the darkest parking lot
That-
in the world.
That-
Like, but no one does that.
Right.
No one. And then she's walking and she's looking around and then she's like, oops, I dropped my keys. Oh, come on. First, we are going to take our shoes off in any situation and we are running like a track star to the car with the keys in our hands, poised, and we are not going to drop them. I am so irritated when I see that, like, another dark parking lot.
Oh, and in heels.
In heels. Oh, what will happen now?
For crying out loud, people have her
Heels that are
change
like
into
this tall.
have her change into sneakers,
Right.
you know,
Oh,
before
I like
leaving work.
Oh, what's going to happen next? We
We're
don't know
having
at all.
them where they choose to stay. Like if I'm staying in a hotel or a motel, I always want one that has indoor doors.
Right.
Yes.
That doesn't open to the
Yeah.
outside.
Right.
Right. And Melissa and
if I'm
I
by myself.
actually, yeah, like I went somewhere with Falstaff Books, which is the publisher which Melissa works for. And I was going with John Hartness and he said, okay, I've rented these hotel rooms. And I went and looked at it and I said, I'm so sorry. I don't want to stay there. The doors open outside. Could you I will either stay at one where the doors open inside or, you know, can you move? And he literally, it had never occurred to him. And he is way intelligent about those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I said it,
Yeah.
he was like, oh yeah, right. Like, yeah, you're not going to, you know.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just, there is a whole economic level that like, we can't stay in the cheapest place and still be safe.
Yeah, and like Airbnb too, or you know,
Ugh.
places
I don't
those like
I don't even-
rentals from
I don't even-
individuals.
Mhm.
It's scary because
Mhm.
you don't know.
Or those
Here.
doors that they have connecting the hotel room and then they have that connecting door
Mhm.
that connects to a whole other room and they're like, oh no, you're safe. We just saw an article in the news where he was using one of those fiberglass cameras and he was pushing it under the door to go look at the girls in the next room. It's that easy to do
Yeah.
that. How easy it is to open that door. And I rooms, if it has a connecting door, unless I'm with my kids, I won't stay in that room. I need 4 walls and just one way in and one way out.
Yeah, I heard one story about this one woman who was driving in the middle of the night, and she said a cop car started following her for about 30 miles straight without any of the lights being turned on. So what she did was she called the police department and said, hey, I am in this area. One of your car units has been following me for this amount of time, and their lights aren't on. I just want to make sure it's an actual cop before I pull over. And so they said, no, we don't have any officers whatsoever out in your area. And someone just stole our car, one of our cars, like the other night. So they sent other people to come get that person out of the way. So
That
that
would
was
lead
really
into that
smart of
serial
her to
killer.
do that.
That serial
Mhm.
rapist that was a cop that used to just pull women over
Oh my
and
God,
maybe
Yeah.
then he just, rape and kill them. And I'm like, maybe I watch a way too much ID channel, but everything terrifies me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm to the point where if I'm not in a populated area, I might be as afraid of a cop as I am of someone else, you know? And I've heard police say that, like, if you are being pulled over in the middle of the night, it is perfectly acceptable to call basically the police and say, I will pull over when I am at a lighted area,
Yes.
you know, and real police will be fine with that.
Right. Or turn on your emergency flashers so they know you see them.
Mhm.
You know.
Yep.
I didn't know that. I'm noting that now.
Yeah.
And all of this just makes me really glad that I can drive. Whew.
So, yeah, I think this all brings up the point that we women really, 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 really need to take care of our physical and emotional
Mhm.
safety in ways that the rest of the world doesn't think about. Yeah.
I think it's and just to add another layer of that is like women of color. For me, especially, a lot of people don't think about my emotional or mental health along with everything else, because women of color, we're meant to be strong. Everyone sees us as strong. We raise the children, we go to work, we do this, we do that, and we don't have any weakness. So of the tropes that you see in films and everything, you're always seeing these strong Black women, everything, and they're badass and all. That's all well and good, but I would love to see some where we have a sense of weakness and where we have someone to lean on, because predominantly we don't. and we are not that strong. We are strong till we break. So we need someone there, and they never portray that in videos and movies. I'm sorry, but I don't watch Tyler Perry movies because I don't like how he portrays women and Black women because of how he makes us look and how we are. And I'm like, that's not us. We have such a gauntlet, but all we want to be is not all strong all the time. We want to be weak sometimes. Yeah, and that's my TED Talk.
Bravo.
Make your characters real people.
Right? Yes.
You know, not just like, oh, you're just this, you're just that.
Yes.
It's the dumbest thing, but it's all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes me think of another thing.
Completely.
Yeah, that makes me think of another thing too. If you do have that support figure in a story, don't make them somebody who's going to betray them or turn into a love interest or, you know, be somebody. Yeah, that's the one that annoys me a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like weakness, someone you can depend on. Next thing you know, they're in the sack. How about just have them be friends? Right. We can have friends. We can have friends.
Beat sheet.
Yeah. Right.
And we can have friends of the opposite sex. It's okay.
Yes. And it doesn't have to be, not everyone has to be like, I got friend zone. No. Yeah. No, they friends. If you're gonna write the friend zone,
wonderful with it.
Yeah. Dudes, if you're gonna write the friend zones, don't. Yeah. Yeah.
There's another to put a star by.
Yeah, put a star by that one when you're taking notes. One of the things that we said in last year's panel that was, I think, the most important thing that we talked about was listen to women. And everyone erupted into applause and there was cheering. And what are your favorite places and what are your favorite ways to tell people that they need to listen to women? I think that didn't make any sense, did it? No, I was like, it made sense when I took my notes. So what would you recommend people who want to write fabulous female characters, would you recommend that they read or watch or look at? What are some of your favorite sources for that?
Impossible.
Yes. Yes.
What I love about it is just, she was a strong female character. She was capable of all these things, but she was still allowed to be a girl. She was allowed to like girly things, and she was allowed to be a cheerleader, but, you know, she still kicked ass. She saved the world.
And she had a friend.
Exactly. It was, I don't know, to me growing up, that was like a major way that I looked at main characters, I guess, for women, because she felt like a real person to me. So that's my example.
Perfect example.
I really like the way that Criminal Minds portrays some of the women characters, especially, oh my goodness, what's her name? My brain space is also limited. The dark-haired one. Can't remember her name.
She leads the team.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Prentice. Emily Prentice.
Yes, that's it. I was thinking because Nicole has the same character, similar name. Anyway, but I really like her. You know, her character development over the course of the series is so great because you get to see both her strong side and her being vulnerable and her making tough decisions and her having relationships with, you know, people that are romantic relationships but not, and you know, it's, you know, that's my example.
One of mine, and CBS cut it after the first season, was Tommy, because she was the first commissioner of the police in LA. She was gay. She had been married. She had a daughter. And it had her dealing with not only family issues because her son-in-law was caught with a hooker and he was going to be in this big sting. And she had a multiracial family. She was married to a Black man before she actually found, you know, embraced the fact that she was gay. So she was a gay woman trying to run a predominantly male police force, and they didn't want to listen to her and everything, but she was great at it. Plus the mayor was a douchebag that was kind of dirty and everything, so she had to navigate this, and she was strong, but she was insecure because she still didn't know how to deal with this world where men wanted to tell her what to do and use her as a figurehead. but you could see the strength of family, the strength of own intelligence. And I love that show. And of course, CBS threw it away after one season. Of course.
I grew up, well, not grew up because I was in, I think, college, but watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And there's still a lot good about it. There's a lot not now. I mean, really, there's a lot not. Give them points for the first lesbian couple to sleep in the same bed on television. But there are other problems too. But like her responses to trauma always read as very real to me. In particular, her response to her mother's death, because I lost my mom around that time. And so there, some of the stuff that they hit, I was like, yeah, that really is sort of the way that you respond, you know, waffling between numbness and, you know, pain and that sort of thing. So I think that one does women pretty well. The sort of great anti-example is Men Write Women on Twitter, where they just post paragraph after paragraph of terribly written, like,
oh my God,
or by like amazingly prominent writers, and they are just painful. And the one I remember, I don't remember the exact phrasing, but it was about a woman who was holding in her period the same way she would hold in pee. And I'm just like, okay, this person needs a biology class. Like,
I can remember the exact wording. He said that she was wondering if her Kegels would hold in that much amount of blood. And I was like, that's not how any of this works.
No, unless she's an alien with different biology, that's not how that works. Like,
it's not a door, people. It's not a door.
Yeah, you have the web, okay? Just look it up.
Yeah.
Or the one when they talked, the son, she opened the blinds, it was on her breast. Then she pitted boobily down the stairs. And what is it?
Yes.
Breasted boobily.
Yes. I'm like, what's on here? This is so wrong.
You know, I will say it is a thing that you going down the stairs, you do have to hold them sometimes. I'll say that from keeping them, but like
and the whole running thing, running is a different thing.
There's a lady that writes men from a women's perspective, and she's hilarious on Twitter.
That's
and
awesome.
Men do not like it at all.
Not surprised.
Which I think brings us to a really important point, is please stop describing women in terms of their desirability. You know, if you're male or non-binary who does not doesn't spend a lot of time in the female perspective, I'd say, you know, don't talk about whether or not this female character arouses your observing character, unless this observing character, she's like, you know, walking down the street, da 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 da, hey everybody, hi, and this observer character is like, you know, like a Tex Avery cartoon, that's going to tell us something about the observer's character, but it can be really gross and disconcerting. And
along the same lines, telling characters that, you know, are not traditionally attractive that, you know, well, I thought she was pretty despite, or you know, had a great personality, or you know, those kinds of things are equally annoying.
Oh yeah, I read one book where the guy and the heroine and the hero was having an argument, and her version to stop the argument was to open her shirt and show him her breasts, and then he was just so focused on the breasts that the whole argument ended and she won. And I was like, I'm going to try that with my husband for one.
Yeah, we'll see.
see if that works.
Who wrote
socks? Who wrote the socks? If you take off your sock and give it and say, Dobby's a free elf. That works.
So who wrote that scene? Who wrote that book?
For the life of me remember, but it was so annoying to me. And I listened to it on Audible, and I just was like, you know what? I'm going to go make dinner because I just can't anymore.
I've had a couple like that.
And women, straight women do not describe women to themselves when they're looking at women in terms of sexability.
Mhm.
I caught the word before I said it. Sexability. Like that's not how straight women look at other women, right? That's just not the orientation.
Nope.
And so when you have a female character whose like first response to looking at a woman is to comment on her nipples, like they better be the most prominent thing about like, that ever, like they need to be like the size of apples or something for it to be the thing that like, otherwise no, like that's just not how we respond, generally speaking.
Sometimes reading, they make you feel like if you should wear pasties under your bra, then a
sweater,
and then a sweater, and then knit hat pulled down
across your arms.
Yeah,
exactly.
Constantly.
Plus a ski mask because nothing's going to work.
Right.
Yeah, although I feel like it should probably be specified that you can still have a sexy character, but just not make her a sex object.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing as the lampshade example.
Yeah.
Right.
The woman gets to own her sexuality.
Yep.
And it gets to be about
with the personality, not just the physicality.
And it gets to be about her pleasure.
Right.
If she's wearing something that's sort of traditionally cute or sexy, it's because it brings her joy and makes her feel awesome and that she can go out and conquer the world. That should be the purpose. And that's what it should focus on her delight, and not sort of like most women I know, and including myself, when I dress up, it's for making me feel good. It's not about the observer. It's about me going in the mirror and going, girl, I got it going. How about you all? Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like
that when
at home, I think this is most of the clothes that I have on. And I'm going to let you know right now that I'm dressed from the waist up. That's it. I
Zoom culture,
to put anything on
don't
down
have
there.
to get up during the meeting.
Best Zoom ever. That's the only thing about it is that you can only dress from the waist up. But at home, I'm more comfortable in sweats and PJs and comfortable cotton. And of course, if I'm going out we're going to date night or something, I'm going to dress up and I'm going to look pretty. But it's not just for him. It's definitely for me because I like looking pretty. Right now, this is my fro, and I'm in braids. I have fros, and if I wasn't on right now, my head stocking would be on, and that would be it. That's how I'd be walking to the post box in a head stocking and a Dr. Who bathrobe. That's it.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And that's just how I live, and I don't think that we are, as women, we should have to be on this perky, makeup on point, clothes on point, walking around. I don't want to be Sophia from Modern Family every day. That just looks like her feet is pained and she's wearing too much makeup.
Yeah.
Just chill out. Just chill out.
Yeah, we basically shouldn't feel like we should be forced or pressured to look a certain way. We should look how we want to look. One thing that I always love about my husband, every time I say, should I get my hair cut maybe like this? Would that look bad? He just goes, it's your hair. You do what you want. It is. It really is my hair. Do what I want with it.
Yeah.
We brought up earlier, Emily, when you talked about straight girls don't describe other girls with like how hot they are or their nipples. How would, if you're a straight woman writing a female character, if you were, let's see how to put this, the best way to put this. If you were a straight woman, but you wanted to write a bisexual or a lesbian character, what would be the best way to kind of go around that if you're wanting to write someone who's an orientation that you are not?
I was actually just thinking about this before you asked that. Like, that's one of the other issues I have is that when writers write queer characters of any sort of structure, and it's like, Bob woke up in the morning and went, wow, that's a beautiful sunrise, and I'm gay. Like, no, like, they don't announce, you don't announce to yourself, like, so it has to be in ways that are like true to the character. And so, I would write them noticing things that are the things I notice about men, but not on men. And I have several queer characters across my books. And like, I know that probably let's say in the Ice Pod series, I'm pretty certain that my audience doesn't know some of them are gay because it's never come up. Like, so we need to talk about national security. By the way, I date men. Like, no, like, that's not how it works, but it may be how was your date? Oh, she was wonderful, whatever. Like in a conversation.
Something more subtle.
So, what are the things that I notice and I see that I'm attracted to and that I would assume other people are attracted to? Yeah. And that would be probably where I do start when I write characters that aren't straight. In some ways, it's a little easier, I think, to write gay men because those are the same things. Like, I like that about men. I can, as opposed to shifting to what do I like about men that I can translate to liking about women. But I also think it's a lot easier for women to look at other women and recognize, describe, and sort of participate in their beauty than it is for male writers, because women do talk about beauty to each other. And we do, like, a woman going, oh my God, that woman is beautiful, has far less stakes than a man going, oh my God, that other man is beautiful, right? Like, in terms of social, I'm meeting social expectations. A woman can talk about another one being beautiful or sexy and it not be a challenge to her own sexuality that a straight man can't, or at least in some places can't.
And I do want to add something. Question was. I want to add something in there about writing women of color.
Yes, please.
From my aspect, I don't think that we all need to be, one of the main words that is pet peeves for me when anyone is writing women of color, and that includes women of color like me, the word exotic. It over-sexualizes us. Every time I see something, she was an exotic Black woman. Why was she exotic? Tell me why she was exotic. We are not, and the skin colorization. Her skin was cappuccino. Her skin was dark like gravy. Her skin was like chocolate. You can use teak, you can use mahogany. She was ebony. She had bronze highlights. There's so many variations of our color. Have to be food. All you do is make me hungry and a little irritated.
We actually have a line in the Fall Stuff Style Guide that do not describe people with food.
Yeah, I don't know. Cappuccino skin. No. She's light skinned. Just go. She's light skinned. She's darker skinned. She's ebony. She's mahogany. She's teak. She is like varnished wood. I don't care, but stop calling me chocolate. And stop telling me. And
star that comment, people. Star that comment.
And then, exotic. Well, I am a little exotic because I'm from an island. I get it. But, I don't need to hear it all the time. Yeah. And that's just the thing about it is of color, look at them and see them as what they are. They're intelligent. They're lawyers. They're doctors. They're everything. They're not just skin color. And she was exotic, even though she's a lawyer. What was exotic about it? Really?
What's not exotic about lawyers? There's a lot there. What?
I mean, if she was human, even though she was a lawyer, okay, but not
exactly. I sat across from her, and she was exotic. She was exotic, even though she was an accountant. I'm like, okay, I give up.
Nowadays, the first thing that comes to mind when I think of exotic is just a Khajiit from Skyrim. So, if I'm looking at a cat person, okay.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's exotic.
Okay, sure.
You got fur everywhere, your eyes, your teeth,
shiny cute things, Yeah, one of the aliens from Farscape, exotic. Me.
Yeah. And that really brings up a good point too. Just saying things like that is really lazy writing.
Yes.
Because you're taking, that word that you assume has a connotation that is that reader's going to get, but you're not telling them anything about what they actually look like.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what
Very
happens when you
sloppy.
tell and not show. You're supposed to actually give us the examples up front to show us what makes this person unique or whatever it is you want them to be.
It's just such a stereotype. We're either exotic or or if you're writing female characters and they're gay, they write them as these cornrows, you know, orange is the new black type women, and I'm like, that's not how, you know, there's some really gorgeous women out there that are gay. Okay, thank you, but I don't get it, so I just let them do what they do. I just think that there's so many variations of how we can write women of any color.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to have the alabaster skin and big rosy areola nipples, or we don't have to have the cocoa bean nipples with dusky dark. I'm like,
oh, dusky is such.
What does she look like? What does her face look like? And then they go to the lips. They automatically, because she's black, she has full luscious lips that could do something, and I'm not even going to say. And I'm like,
yeah.
I get
Right.
it. That's
Yeah,
right.
Probably
there's
on our
something-
list of no words.
There's something about comparing people. Yeah, exactly. There's something about people being described as food that really highlights the consumable nature of women, right?
Mhm.
Like when you are describing women as something you eat, you are fundamentally marking them as consumable, right? They are things to be used, because for the most part, we don't value food in and of itself. We value it because we eat it and it tastes good, right? And so that's really heading down the objectification road in a hurry. And I should say, like, we're talking about don't do all of this if you want us to like the character who's doing it. Like, there is nothing wrong with having a character that is an absolute horror show who describes women as food, right? Like, if you want us to not like the character, then she looked like a mayonnaise sandwich that I wanted to eat. Yeah, I will not like that person. You got that, you know.
It's got to be part of.
Funny too, because now that you
the
mention it,
character.
thinking of the phrase, you know, tall drink of wine or something, it actually does give the indication of, you know, this is an indulgence.
Yep.
You know, that's a good point I didn't think about.
Yeah.
I've heard guys, in from my point of view, and I'm a person, I like to go out and dance. Haven't been dancing in months, but that's how I love to dance, because I'm Caribbean. That's my people. I like to dance, and I'll go out and I'll sing at a guy, not just black men, white men will pass and say, "You must be Jam because Jelly don't shake like that." And I'm like, what?
Wait, what?
Yeah. I'm like, what?
What is that?
Again.
Honestly,
What is that?
I guess it has to do with my butt, because a lot of the mannerisms I only learned when I came to the United States. So I guess Jam shakes better than Jelly. I don't know.
Who is shaking Jam or Jelly? Who's doing that?
No,
Strawberry?
it just
Grape?
Do they mean Jello?
Cut, of course.
Yeah.
watch it jiggle.
Does it have
no
bits
clue.
of fruit in it? Are you saying I'm lumpy? Like, what are you
Oh,
saying?
marmalade. Mediums.
And this is why
So-
women carry mace.
Exactly. You know, it's like you can't go out with a group of girls and just sit and have fun and dance and everything without some guy walking and be like, "Hey," and you're like, "Okay, can I buy you girls a drink?" in his deep man voice, and you're automatically supposed to swoon, like I'm okay, I'm married.
You know, we all want Gaston, right?
I mean, you know, you can buy me a drink, whether or not you should, and I'll give you any kind of reward for it. But, you know, I'm sure you're fully capable of
Exactly.
it.
And then, and that's the other thing you hear, but I bought you a drink. This is why.
That's the other thing. Watch out for. Always watch your drinks.
Right.
If it doesn't have a cap, always watch your drink. If you looked away from your drink at all, throw it away and get a new one.
Yep.
That's the other thing. Sorry.
And that all goes back to being objectified. They don't care. They literally don't care about our feelings, our reactions, or anything. Or even after the worst trauma they could do, they're like, "Oh, well, you know, she was dressed a certain way. You know, she was asking for me." And that doesn't look at us as a valued object. That's kind of like just okay, they're to be used and put aside. Why should we care?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Motivation, people. Think about it when you're writing women. Remember that this is something that we think of and is in our background radiation of our lives.
Yep.
Is this sense of being disposable, of being devourable? You know,
Like
these are things that you, I mean, stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Star one, stop using food. You know, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's like a woman, if we're talking about Caucasian women, don't use skimmed milk as
Ooh.
for her
I have
color.
heard- yeah, I have.
I know.
That's
And it's
the
like,
thing?
Ew.
yeah.
And you know
yeah.
skim milk is terrible, right?
Yeah, it's
Right. It's
disgusting.
basically water.
Yeah.
With
I mean, I can
salt.
think of so many instances in which using that in a comic sense would be delightful.
Mhm.
You know, like someone who has absolutely no concept and is trying to flatter someone, you know, and it's
Your
just,
skin is like skimmed milk, baby.
Like
Right.
I can see that. A socially
You know,
awkward character.
and you're like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's at least 2%. Like, like it's not that sad. Okay.
Someone's gonna write this later. I know it.
Yeah. And I mean, like, because in medieval literature, because I'm a medievalist, it's always like roses and lilies, and you know, occasionally you get milk too. That is, but it's often very floral. But it's always the same flowers, and so it's not even a description; it's a signal, right? Like if a person looks like this, they are this kind of person. And I think that we can do that. It can be done well and badly in writing, because there are certain, like the girl with her hair up and the glasses is really beautiful if you take that off. But like those are shorthand markings for stuff that, you know, done right can work very well, because they can be like small, subtle things, but done wrong really is just a kind of lazy stereotyping.
Yeah, two things in response to that. Do y'all remember the movie She's All That?
Yes.
No.
That's the thing that
hate
solidified
that movie. Where it's basically, oh, she's a dorky girl because she wears glasses and her hair's put up,
Let's
and
make
then
her pretty.
they take off her glasses and she's beautiful. And no,
I thought it was the Princess Diaries.
That one
it's
too.
kind of in a lot of them.
Okay.
But I think She's All That was first. I might be wrong about that.
Probably. I don't know.
I don't know which one was
I'm
first.
a 90s kid, so if it's before that, nope.
The other thing though is flowers. Describing people's flowers are delicate and temporary. You know, there's something that, you know, if you send somebody flowers, they're going to be there and they're going to be temporary. And you're going to enjoy them for that moment, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, using that kind of language also sends an underlying message that the woman is only useful for that brief period of time.
For the decorative period. Yeah. And I mean, that's totally the way it's used sometimes in Renaissance and medieval literature. Yes, it's a pretty flower that will fade, you know, so you better find someone to sniff you fast, I guess, if I'm going to push that metaphor.
Unless there's a...
By the time you're 15, you better be married.
Right.
God, I hate those so much. Okay, well, I have a question for that then. What if you have a character who uses that type of comparison in a means to say, I should not take her for granted?
That would be creative and clever and
really
good
different.
writing.
In that
would be good writing.
That makes it different, because it's not just seeing her as an object that's going to fade away and, oh, now that she's used up, I'm moving on. No, it kind of turns that around a bit.
Yeah.
That she's precious. Yeah. Anytime, remember, a lot of this is about, I mean, fiction is about evoking emotion.
Yeah.
And it's about, if you're going to, saying someone has skin like chocolate evokes no emotion other than hunger and irritation.
Yes.
You know, but saying
hunger.
that someone is, skin is, I write a lot of romance. So if I'm describing someone, it's going to be how the observer wants to touch the observed.
Right.
You know, it's like she looked very touchable. It created an emotion in that character.
Mhm.
And this is what we're trying to do, is that you're trying to create really valid, beautiful, vibrant emotions in your writing.
Yeah.
And I do get that some points, like saying a person's skin is creamy or silky like satin,
Silk,
gives you,
yeah,
gives you
soft,
that touch,
that tactile.
comparison. Yeah, and I can live with that, honestly. But if when it's done well, but then as soon as you start taking it and you're in the woman and you're not going past what she looks on the outside and giving her motivation or character or even a brain, because it's like some of them write all women to be like Stepford wives. Yes, dear.
Yeah.
Okay, dear. Thank you, dear. And I'm like, no, you don't. You know that they do have something in their work, and I hate the bimbo aspect. That's what I like to call it. That they pick and they make such characters so simple that you're like, okay, what does she need? Does she need help crossing the street? I don't understand. I think that women should be so much more well developed, and they're not giving us the justification and the tapestry that we deserve, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Star that, people. Write that down.
Yeah.
Oh, that was genius.
Dahlia, what did you think of Legally Blonde?
I can honestly tell you, I've never watched that. Never.
If you ever watched it, I want to know what you thought.
I will probably be cussing from the very beginning. That's why I watch Firefly and Serenity and great shows like that. And my husband always says, let's go watch, go out to a movie for your birthday or something. You want to watch a chick flick? And I'm like, you shut your dirty mouth. Since when? Something from Marvel out on, because Legally Blonde, I mean, movies like Bring It On and Step Up and all of that, she's all not my cup of tea, because I'm going to get annoyed because they don't give these characters
That's some of those too. Yeah.
I've always liked Legally Blonde because she's so brilliant. Like, she gets like, I can't remember what the scale is, but like she gets like a 175 out of 180 on her LSAT. That's almost impossible.
176.
176, that's what it is. I mean, like, because it's graded on a curve, like it's super hard to get, like that will get you into any law school. Like, she's a straight A student. She is not an idiot. And so it really does push back against that whole, like, she is perky and likes pink suits and she's a little bit shallow, but
she's without
also
her faults or obstacles she has to go through. She actually goes through a development and be perfectly fine with who she is, and especially what I really appreciated in that one was they actually had a scene where she finds out that she was only accepted into an internship because the person in charge wanted to bone her.
Yeah,
right.
So when she found out, she basically just wanted to quit. She walked out because she wanted to be there for her own merits, which I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Because, that's why we're here.
There's the scene when she's filming her admission stuff and she's talking to her mom and she's in the pool and her mom's like, why don't you just, do something else? And why do you have to go to like college? And she's like, because I want to.
I think that the way you guys are describing it is like they use the shallowness of it to get the fact out that she was intelligent. But then there's some shows like Clueless, for instance, that I just I could not get into. It's just that I think that I have daughters. One of my daughters is 27 and one is 16. And I'm like, I need them to look at me and see past that she's a mom and she's a woman. I need them to see my strengths and my weakness and see that they can do stuff, but they are allowed to cry. And that's another thing that we deal with a lot, is that we don't get to show our emotions enough. As women of color, we don't. If we're crying, I saw a meme that says that, if a Black woman is crying, she's getting ready to kill you. No, we are so filled up with emotion and so many things that we have to push down that it just bubbled over and we are at the breaking point, and that's the only way we can get it out. So we cry. And my daughters, and it really hit home for me that my daughter said, Mom, we don't see you. I'm like, I cry. They're like, when? I'm like, probably alone in the dark in the shower, you know, with a glass of wine, some Anya on, I don't know.
Right.
But then I thought, then I said to myself, if my daughters can't see me, you know, cry and be weak at some point, they're not going to learn that their emotions are okay. So then I started, you know, talking to them more, and they don't hide when I have those emotional wine days, you know, those days when you need the wine a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that that's making them more well-rounded, and I would love to see more characters do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was one thing that bothered me about the new Star Wars trilogies, actually. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or not, but Rey doesn't really have any faults. She doesn't really go through that many obstacles. She's just instantly amazing at everything, and it kind of bothers me, to be honest, and I know I probably shouldn't be, because yeah, we finally get the main role of a strong female character in Star Wars, but like, I'm sorry, man, my favorite character is Finn, and they're not giving him the screen time he needs.
Yeah.
I like BB-8.
Right?
Yeah.
They just got thrown off to the side to make way for Rey, the amazing, and like, you're not really that interesting because you don't have anywhere to go. You're already there, and I just want to see more Finn. Bring him back.
She reminds me a lot of Luke Skywalker in that because he felt that way too.
Yeah.
But and it just like, I know all the copious numbers of hardcore geek, fake geek girl men that are watching this are going to be upset by what I'm about to say, but she and Kylo Ren kiss ruined the entire thing for me. They should never have been romantically involved. That was not what their relationship was about. And that last film just, I mean, a woman does not need a romantic relationship to be a successful protagonist.
Yep.
Like,
and I think what bothered me, sorry, continue.
No, I was just gonna say, and I was just like, that is so stupid.
Yeah, I think what really bothered me about that particular moment was, you know, the whole thing where, okay, so they set up this whole theming scheme for the whole trilogy, and it seems like their theme is, no, we both need both sides to come together to achieve what we need. We need to unite to really move forward. That was the theme that they set up. Okay, we're just gonna have Rey fix everything. Forget the other guy, yay!
Kill off Leverett.
Where's the bow? I want the little bow tied into the theming of your story. Where did it go? That was my issue.
I think with me, one of my pet peeves is like, I just saw an article where they're bringing Wonder Woman's sister Nubia, and I am like, yes,
so excited.
But I also about the Wonder Woman 1984 is, why did you have to bring back Chris Pine? Like, she couldn't live a life without having the man she loved. She's already.
Can't she just be tragically wounded and move on?
Exactly. Why can't we?
Like, it would be fine.
Like, so he has to come back to make her whole again. Really? Come on. He was dead. Even though I love him,
stay dead.
Cute as hell. He should stay dead. Dead things should stay dead.
Okay, we are at the 5-minute mark. So any last comments? Anything you felt like we really need to talk about? Anything you want to retouch on?
Stop calling women food.
Yes.
If you're not sure, ask a woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen to women.
Or
figure out what Kegel's really.
Take a biology class, either someone else's or self-teach as best you can. But read well-written women and read good women writers, and both of those will help. Or even just read like biographies and autobiographies by women. Like that will tell you a lot about them.
Or sit and have a conversation with one. Hey, can I buy you a drink? Actually talk to a woman. I mean, a lot of people say that their dating life right now goes from first meeting to when can we bang? And like nothing in between. I'm like, so you don't have a conversation? Like, basically, no. I had a friend that said if she went on a date and after the date, he literally, that they were either going back to her place or his place. And she was like, no, we don't even know each other like that. He's like, how long does that part take?
Oh my
Actually
God.
talk to a woman. Talk.
For you? Forever.
You should give me this. God.
Ah.
So brutish
I
and
like the other
boring.
way on that one.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all, my genius women. So thrilled to see you and meet you. And I'm going to do our outro now, which is, if you enjoyed this panel, be sure to check out Multiverse's other programming this weekend. And our full schedule is available at multiversecon.org. Thank you.
Yay.